Frogman Friday.
Yeah, boy. What's up, dudes? It's that time again. Welcome to the Frogman Friday show.
Presented by Transcend, the best peptide and hormone therapy. They put your health first so you can live more and worry less. Go to transcendcompany.com/Birdman to begin your wellness transformation today.
Today, our badass guest is John Collins. He served 12 years as a Navy SEAL, exiting as a petty officer first class. He's a sniper, breacher, canine handler, went through 6 BUDS classes, 2.5 Hell Weeks, 0 bell rings, Gunslinger, Tactician, and currently a shooting instructor and entrepreneur. You can dive deeper with John on Instagram at Shoot, Eat, and Lift, as his content is pretty rad. Brother, welcome to the show.
Dude, thanks for having me, man.
Dude, I mean, before even getting into anything, so 6 BUDS classes, 2.5, 2.5 Hell Weeks. What the F?
Weak genes, man. I don't know. Dude, I went through 4 first phases, 2.5 Hell Weeks. My first class got rolled before I went into Hell Week, so the Friday before. So I had the first 3 weeks of first phase, got rolled to the next class, and made it through Hell Week. Got rolled at the beginning of second phase for it was a medical roll, and then got dropped for pool comp in that class. So it was 265, 264, 265, and 266 were my first 3 classes. I got shit canned to the fleet, went to Guantanamo Bay for 19 months, clawed my way back into the pipeline, went through with 281. I was on track to go through all the way with them, but I caught pneumonia and SIPE in Hell Week, and I got rolled on Tuesday and classed up with 283, made it all the way to second phase with them, got medical rolled at the beginning of second phase, and classed up with 287 and made it straight through with them from second phase all the way to SQT graduation. So I got full Benny, bro.
Dude, what was it like to get to don that red helmet?
Dude, I mean, it's you finally feel like you're, doing frogman shit, like you running around with your shape and your kit on, and you're not wearing some stupid life vest and green helmet, and you're not in like a barbarian horde of guys that are all about to quit. It's like, all right, you're finally like, you know, you finally got your fire teams, and I mean, but the island fucking sucked. That was Bud's best kept secret is San Clemente, dude. It's because there's no escape. It's 7 days a week. You don't have weekends off. You're getting wet on the hour every hour for however long your punishment is or whatever. But it was cool, man. I remember the second to last day on the island. I was just like, damn, dude, like we did it. We got through Buds. It took 6 years, but we got here.
Dude, you deserve it, man. You are a resilient motherfucker, that's for sure. Unbelievable.
Stubborn.
Yeah, well, that's the key, right? That's what I always say. People are like, what are the traits to being a SEAL? I'm like, you got to be stubborn. That's the key.
Yeah.
So let's dig in, man. So 12 years as a Navy SEAL, and you exit out of service. Talk to us about what your transition was like.
Still going through it, man. I got out in 2018. That first year was pretty. It was pretty weird because I mean, you think about it, the military and prison are the only two places where you serve time. And you get a little institutionalized, man. I'm like, oh, I don't have to like report in for a muster or call somebody or whatever. It's like I get to I'm free, I get to do whatever I want. So I took that first year off. I was newly married. Like, I mean, I got married in June of 2018, and I got out in October of 2018, and so I was just getting close with my wife, and um, got pregnant within the year. So it's like I went from like one institution to another, like the military, and now marriage and having kids and all that. So you don't really have time to like kind of think about your transition, but it was very I mean, it was definitely a change and not something that I was ready for, to be honest. And after, like, I took a year off, and I was just like, I'm just gonna get close with my family and just enjoy my freedom. And then I started missing the boys and missing the job, and I was fortunate enough to pick up a gig where um, I kind of I went back to what I know, which was shooting, and I did that for 4.5 years. I was a combat skills instructor, just teaching EOD techs how to shoot, move, and communicate on a basic buds third phase level. And that was pretty cool because it's like it made me a better shot. I learned a lot. Some of the guys I worked with were my buds instructors at one point. One of the guys actually he taught me how to shoot, and he's still one of the fastest, if not the fastest, pistol shot I've ever seen. And so I learned a lot from him, and it was cool just getting to teach these guys, being on the other side of the curtain, seeing how the whole thing worked. And I was a contractor, so I don't have to shave or cut my hair or any of that stuff. It was all or deploy. It was like I got the best of both worlds kind of thing. And then that contract dried up this past year. It's funny, man. Like I have a good sense of when to jump ship. So I got out in 2018 just because things were starting to change. The tide was starting to change a little bit, and I saw it coming. And I got out, didn't have a plan, um, but I just knew that it was time to leave. And sure enough, I got out. Then the whole thing with Eddie Gallagher happened, and then COVID happened, and the teams just started changing a lot. And so I think I got out at the right time. And then this shooting gig, about a year before it shut down, I started looking for another job. And one of the guys that I worked with, um, he said something that stuck with me. He's like, the best time to look for a job is when you have a job. Like, you never want to be behind the eight ball trying to figure it out, and because the bills don't stop. So I started looking about a year before I got out, and I landed a pretty sweet gig that I'm doing now. I'm the safety director for the Western Steel Council of Iron Workers. I got that through a buddy of mine, another teammate. I've known this guy for almost 20 years now. We went through Buds in the beginning. We both were in Guantanamo Bay together. He went back through Buds a couple classes before me. Um, and then he got out around the same time I did. And he went through Beyond the Brotherhood, which is another organization that helps transitioning frogmen find their new path, their new goal, their new purpose. And he got hooked up with the Western Steel Council, introduced me to the guy that sits at the head of the table, and he's a great dude, Greg McClelland. He offered me a spot to be the safety director, which was a pretty easy translation from like everything I did in the military and in the teams to iron workers. Just it's just safety heavy, so it's like if you can you know, run a gun range and make sure that guys aren't sweeping each other or have their fingers on the trigger when they shouldn't, and work with breaching, explosives, all that stuff. It's like, hey, the safety side of the house in the civilian sector is it's a lot of common sense stuff, man. So I ended up getting my OSHA 30, um, working on a couple other safety quals, but it's been an interesting transition. I know that unless you have a hookup at a high level, unless you're a master chief that's been in for 20 plus years and you've got all the connections and you can just kind of slide out and um, slide right into another job where you're basically doing the same thing and getting paid more. It's tricky, man. I know everybody's got their different their different struggles and figuring out like what am I going to do. Like I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but for me, I always felt like I am a frogman, and when you don't have that anymore, what do you what do you do? What do you lean on? And for the first year when I got out, like I said, like I stepped away from the whole world. Like I just wanted to be with my wife and, start my family and all that. But then you start to miss it. And I, I kind of I was very wary of nonprofits, things that had a bone frog or a trident slapped on it. Because I'm like, who are these guys? What are they doing? Who's this money going to? Is it going to the guys that need it? Whether it's medical or financial or, you know, education or whatever. Um, and then some good dudes that I, look up to and respect their opinion told me to look into the Seal Future Foundation, and I started kind of peeking my head back into that world. And um, yeah, man, I started working with the Seal Future Foundation back in like 2022, and started going to their events, and they got a lot of shooting events. So I was able to kind of slide right in and help out, and it's a great program. A lot of good people show up for it, and I've been able to give back too, which is a big thing. It's like when you have a certain skill set and you're good at it, and you can teach people how to you can show people how to learn and shoot a gun and kind of do what we do on a small level. They get a lot out of it and they love it, and it's been a real honor for me to be able to work with these guys and gals, and just be a part of that organization. And I mean that's with the transition. It's like I said, man, it's tricky. It's like if you don't have something already lined up, then you're just figuring it out. And SFF has been real good about connecting guys, helping them figure out their next move, and just the networking piece, man. Like we have such a strong network. Like I mean, you have Thunderbirds, you have people that are in Harvard cliques, and I mean you have all these different cliques. It's like the SEAL teams, the Brotherhood, like that's its own clique, and
Right.
there's no shortage of people that want to be around guys like us. And it's not an arrogant thing to say. It's just it is what it is. One of the things I heard when I was in the teams was like referring to the trident is like everybody wants to touch it. Everybody wants to say they know a SEAL or they work with the SEAL or they're being trained by a SEAL, and it's like that's a pretty key thing to hold on to there. It's like a lot of you know the silent professional thing. It's like I respect that and I appreciate what it means. Now that being said, like you don't go to medical school and get a certificate, or you don't go to Princeton or Harvard and get um, uh, and graduate and then not put it on your resume.
Right.
So I mean, using that to advance, because look, the Navy's not helping you out when you get out. It's like they're like, hey, fine, don't let the door hit you on the way out. And see you never. So you
Yeah.
got to figure it out. And using like your platform, or having that trident, man, like that's as long as you represent the community in a good way, and you're not you're not getting rolled up for stupid shit, or making an ass out of yourself. I mean, I don't think that there's anything wrong with using that to get ahead in life, because like I
There's
said,
not.
the bills keep coming.
There's not, man. And I mean, it brings up a valid point because this is something I've looked at for a long time. Because when I got out, and I got out in 2010, so I've been out quite a while now. And you're you're hesitant to talk about what you used to do because that silent professional thing is ingrained in us. But if you look at the reality of what we need to do, the best recruiters for the SEAL teams are the Navy SEALs. And if we're not
Straight
out
up.
there talking about this stuff in good context and representing the community the same way we would inside, then how the hell are we going to bring in candidates that want to do this at the level we require? So
Straight
there
up.
is truly like it's a interesting battle, but once you finally say fuck it, I don't care anymore. Like I'm going to talk about this because I get asked all the time by different parents and their kids saying, "Hey, my son's interested in going into the SEAL program," and I'm like, "Well, I'd love to talk with him, and I'll get them with a recruiter that knows what they're doing today because it's different than what I went through. And I'll tell them the good, bad, and the ugly about what they need to know about what this really is so they have a better understanding than I did when I went in the program. The other side to that you
Totally.
mentioned that was super, super interesting. So the transition, it's hard because you're so used to operating at a high level with incredibly gifted people. And then you get out and everything slows down. And you took a path of I want to spend a year spending time with my wife and my newborn, which is awesome because a lot of guys don't do that. They just want to grind. I went right out of the service into grinding to try to work. And it spent about 3 years busting my ass to figure out like I'm not doing well inside. Buddy of mine called me and said, you're off. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm off? I feel fine. And he's like, no, you're off. I think you need to see your teammates. And it just like completely shocked me because I'm like, you're right. I miss those guys. And for me, just going out to San Diego, seeing the guys, just having a couple nights with them gave me everything I needed again. It wasn't the shooting. It wasn't the blowing stuff up. I mean, all the stuff's awesome, but it was the guys. That was the key. And when
Totally.
you realize that you haven't lost them and they're still there, that's when you can transition fully and get fucking going with your new life. So appreciate you
Yeah,
telling
man.
us all that, man. So
Dude, so a couple things on that I like I just want to touch real quick is you know, when I got out that first year, man, like and everything slowed down. There was a couple things that came to light. Like our culture in the teams is so aggressive, or at least it was, when I was in, and when you get out and you're not in that culture anymore, like for me, I started seeing some behavior patterns in myself that I'm like, I can't keep doing this kind of thing. The one thing is like drinking.
mm,
Like, I mean, drink, fight, fuck, dude. Like people had that tattooed on them, like that was like the mantra in the teams, and it's like
yeah,
when you get out and you start a family, it's like that's not your mantra anymore. And it's like, you know, you don't want to be a 40-year-old guy at a bar getting in fights and, like still picking up, barfly chicks or whatever. And the drinking, dude, I see that as being like, like I didn't realize how much it had its hooks in me until I got out. And it's scary because you don't realize it. Like you don't realize like how toxic this culture can be. I mean, it's great and I love it, and it's a good time to um, go out with your boys and just burn it down. But at the same time, you got to just put a lid on it, and you got to kind of keep it in check. Um, so yeah, I mean, just being aware of that, and then the other thing was with the Seal Future Foundation, like one of the guys I was talking to him recently, and he was like, "Hey, the thing about SFF is, you may end up in a platoon where you don't get along with a lot of, the guys in your platoon. Like it just may not be your personality, right? But the thing with SFF is." You can choose who you want to hang out with. Now, that being said, like everybody that's there, I love, and I haven't had a problem with anybody. Um, because everybody's there for pretty much the same purpose as like the community, and that's not always the case in a platoon. Like guys, you know, I mean, you've been in, what it's like, but that's one thing I like about SFF is everybody that's there is there for a reason, and it's the right reason, and you get to kind of, you know, it's the best of the teams in the SEAL Future Foundation.
yeah, man, for sure. Well, you say that thing about drinking and how bad it had its hooks in you, and that's primarily the majority of us because you're in that program where you can drink hard when you're back home, and then you're going to a training block and you don't have time for it, and you just have to get after it. And so it kind of keeps you at bay while you're active, but then you get out and you don't have anybody to answer to anymore, but you
Yeah,
still
man.
move in that same, that movement forward, and you're like, oh my God, I'm unglued right now. And when you finally notice it, it's always a disaster. And so,
Yeah.
but we all come to it, man. It's like everybody, every single team guy we talk to, it's like, dude, drinking, drinking, drinking. And, I stopped drinking years ago because it had such a bad hook on me, and it won't end. It's not just going to stop. You have to make an effort to just shut it down. Otherwise, you're going to
Yeah.
keep doing the same thing, or at least I am for sure, because I'm that kind of, we talk about that habitual abuser of stupid shit. So, well, what
Moderation is for cowards, dude.
just got to find the good stuff these days. So,
Yeah.
what draws you to shooting? You're an instructor. We talked about this offline, that when you become a coach in shooting or a coach in anything, you become better at that thing, because now you're consistently doing it, you're consistently teaching it, and you learn a lot about it during teaching. But what draws you to shooting?
Man, ever since I was a kid, dude, like all I wanted to do was shoot bad guys. It's like I just remember running around with toy guns and, pretending to shoot terrorists or, cowboys and Indians. Like I'm attracted to that whole thing, man. It's just shooting bad guys, and I like the sound of the gun. I like the feel of it in my hand. I like the smell of the gun smoke. The sound of the steel when you hit it. I will say nothing's louder than a miss, but it's just fun, man. It's a stress reliever. Just go out there and just have fun. Just dump a whole mag, and then just the thing I like about shooting is it's just like any other sport, right? Whether it's golf, basketball, jujitsu, like there's techniques, there's levels to it, and fundamentals are so key. And if you can master the fundamentals, right? You look at guys like Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, Tiger Woods, you know, they're masters of the fundamentals, and if you can be that, then you can get creative, and then it gets even more fun. It's like it may be hard to learn, especially like golf. Like I like golf because it reminds me of shooting. Like I didn't pick up golf until I got out of the Navy because, in the Navy, my job was my hobbies. And
Yeah.
then, like jumping, diving, shooting, whatever. And then I get out and I don't have any hobbies. And so I'm like, all right, I'm going to try golf. And it's like, golf reminds me of shooting. It's like your driver's like your long range shot, and then all your irons are like your rifle shots. And then your putter's like your pistol shot, right? So you got all these different weapons, and then your ball is like your ammo, and then all the fundamentals are the same: stance, grip, sight alignment, sight picture, trigger squeeze, follow through, breathing. It's exactly the same, um, but with shooting it's just like, I mean, it's an instant gratification, plus I like the idea, like I just like kitting up, I like putting on my gear, I like tinkering with my belt, I like, I feel like my plate carrier and my belt are never like 100%. I'm at about 95% right now. I've got everything kind of where I want it to be, and but with technology, with new gear coming out, there's always room for improvement. But I like tinkering. I like making sure that my kit is slick and I can get to what I need to get to fast. There's certain drills I love. Like I love a combat reload, combat shot. Because I don't think that that's addressed or um, stressed enough. Because I mean, think about movies that you've seen where two guys are in a gunfight and they both run out of ammo at the same time, and it's a race to see who can load up and take a shot first. It's like you do that on a gun range, man, or and train for a gunfight. You know, being able to get to that new mag and slap it in there and re-rack and re-engage fast is, I mean, it's one of my favorite drills because see how fast you can do it, see how accurate you can be. Um, I love everything about shooting, man. It's just, and I feel like everybody does. Once they pull the trigger and hear that steel like bang, it's like you get hooked on it. And I love teaching people, and I love seeing them, seeing the light turn on in their head, and they're like, "Oh, this is it." It's like it's pretty cool.
Heck yeah, man. What's the same? So, like your kit, I mean, the kit is like every team guy's dream, right? It's all the good stuff. And that's one thing that I had to do because I was like, I go up on the roof to put up the Halloween decorations and all this stuff. And I finally got a tool belt and I was like, oh, sweet. I got a tool belt. I can keep my tools in there. And now I'm getting up on the roof and I'm leaning over and stuff's falling out. And I was like, you know what? Why wouldn't I use my vest? Why wouldn't I just fashion this together where I can put the tools that I need? Because I'm working right here anyway. This is ideal. So it works in so many, and then it just feels good when you put your shield of armor back on. And then
Yeah,
yeah, you
man.
can never configure it enough. Like it can be perfect, and then you go do something else, and you're like, oh, got to change this. The new gear comes out, like you
Yeah.
said, streamline. It gets lighter. You're like, oh, that's why I call team guys gear whores, dude. I've never seen so many team guys have so much gear. It's like it's awesome. So talk to me about shooting now. You're teaching. Who all are you teaching? Where are you teaching? Can people get involved in it?
Yeah. So right now I'm still kind of building out my brand here. But I'm in San Diego, and I've got access to a couple ranges where we can do pretty much anything. And a lot of it's been word of mouth. Like when you're in the teams, you kind of have your network built in, but when you get out, like it's on you to figure it out for yourself. That's why it's why I put SFF out there as much as I do, because it's a great network. You meet so many people. They do a lot of shooting events, and you meet a lot of people that, I mean, they come from all different walks of life, and a lot of them just want to learn how to shoot. So I made some connections, and got some phone numbers, and cups of coffee with people, and they're like, "Hey, man, let's just go out. Let's just go out and see, what you got, where you're at." Because there's different levels of shooting. Like I teach combat shooting. That's what I've done for my whole career, and mostly when I got out, and that was like my front sight focus, quite literally. Um, and you know, a lot of these guys and gals, they just want to be comfortable with a handgun or a rifle, or hey, my dad passed away and I've got his gun and I want to learn how to shoot it, and um, yeah, let's go out to the range. I'm building, like I said, I'm building out my brand right now. I'm not ready to release it just yet, but I've got a couple drills that aren't. I got one drill specifically that's going to be my flagship drill. That's going to set me aside from what's already out there, because there's no shortage of shooting instruction that you can get. But I've noticed that there's not a lot in San Diego. I mean, California in general is tough to do anything, as far as firearms and access to ranges. Like, I'll never shoot at an indoor gun range again. I've gone to a few out here where I see bullet holes in the ceiling, or, people are just like finger on the trigger, like sweeping you. It's just like so sketchy. I'm like, I'm not trying to get killed at an indoor gun range by some 16-year-old with no experience that just doesn't know what's going on. Um, but yeah, there's no shortage of people that want to learn how to shoot, and I love teaching. And San Diego is a great place for me, because there's not a lot of instruction that I've seen. And yeah, so you can reach out to me at Shoot, Eat, and Lift. For now, it's my business account, but until I get my actual company up and running, that's where I can be reached at. And yeah, man, I do it all. My specialty is rifle, pistol, but I mean, we do long range stuff, a lot of CQC stuff. Um, as far as the CQC stuff goes, though, it's you kind of need to have 3 to 4 people at least to teach at once. I mean, you can do one man room entry stuff, but if you want to really learn how to do, you know, flow and house clearance, like you're going to have to have a class, a class of people. So I'm working towards all that stuff too. But right now it's just individual shooting instruction. And I've got, guys I used to work with, friends that we go out to the range all the time that, some are better shots than me, some are more knowledgeable than me, but everybody's willing to show up and throw out a few pro tips.
For sure. Well, anytime you need an instructor, I'm center mass every time, bro. So you just call on me, you know?
Hell yeah, brother.
Well, that's awesome. Do you travel to do this as well? Like, say somebody wants to, hire you to come out to their range, private place out in Texas or somewhere else. Do you do that as well, or you just land block to San
I
Diego?
yeah, I will I will be doing that as well. I All the travel I've done for shooting has been through SFF, and again, that's me just giving back. I mean, I just love being out there, and for that, it's like it's also just meeting people. It's like I may go to an SFF event in LA or wherever. Like I know they got stuff going on in the Carolinas where I'll fly out and I'll teach, and that's where I'll meet people and I'll be like, hey, if you want follow on instruction, hit me up. And then SFF does a lot of packages where, hey, we're going to auction off this gun, and if you end up winning it, then you also get 3 day shooting instruction with SEALs that know how to shoot. But for me personally, it's something that I'm open to and will be doing once I'm up and running. I like I said, I have a lot of I have access to a couple good ranges out here. So, and there's a lot of people that are in this area that want to learn how to shoot. So I have no shortage of students, but I'm more than willing to go out to wherever you're at to show you how to shoot.
Cool, man. That's awesome. Well, I got some clients for you, and we'll blast you out. And when you do get your site up and running and all that stuff formulated, we're gonna have you back on so we can promote that as well and get that out the door. Um,
Excellent.
yeah, it's cool to see guys like you getting out and keeping within the traditions of what you learned and where you come from, because it's one thing where a lot of people would ask me. I got so many different activities and I do so many different things, and I've found my passion in multiple levels and multiple areas, so that I don't ever feel like if I'm not hitting one thing that I'm not there or I'm not myself anymore. Like, the simplicity for me is if I can go out once a week and skateboard and hit the skate park, which is a kid thing, but it's not really, because it's a really painful
Yeah.
sport, especially as you get older. But
Yeah.
it's so simple to do, and just going there for an hour or 2 hours and really, hitting it on my own time, get that fire again, or I go skydiving or whatever it may be. But I found myself not getting on the trigger as much. And it's like, man,
Hmm.
you kind of fall away from it. And then you're like, when you get back on it, it's like, oh man, I completely forgot how much I missed this and needed this. And it is a perishable skill. So if you're not consistently
Well, I guess
working with your tools, go
Well,
ahead.
going back to your question before too, because I don't even know if I really answered it about what I love about shooting is for me it also keeps my edge and it keeps me feeling like a frogman still. It's like it keep like that's our bread and butter, like we talked about offline. It's like the CQC stuff. Being a good shot. Like all SEALs are good shooters, but like you wear different hats in the teams. You may be a breacher, you may be a dog guy, you may be a JTAC, you may, be a medic. It something else might take your focus away from the shooting piece. And you know, once I got out and I had an opportunity to go be a firearms instructor, I was like, sweet man, like this is what all the training leads to. On a real world op is shooting somebody in the face. And if you don't know how to do it or you're rusty, it's like and getting out, like you know I identify my pronouns are frog/man, and it's like if I don't have that good trigger squeeze, then who am I? It's like I gotta be sharp, man. I gotta keep my edge. And that's why I was like so stoked to have that job. And just it's like all I'm doing is shooting all day. It's like this is all I want to do anyway. This is the the final thing you do on an op, is just like squeeze that trigger and crack whoever you got to, whoever your target is, and then get the hell out of there. But yeah, man, I mean, it's just like it's a decompressor too, man. Like you you just get out there, you empty, a mag. I mean, I'm usually shooting 500 to 800 rounds a day when I go out to the range, which gets pretty costly. But um, I mean, nothing beats it.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's awesome, dude. Well, nice to know that your pronouns are trigger squeeze now. So you should be this should be your new handle out there.
Yeah,
We I always like to end on this because it brings into your background with that. Like this show is not really to dig into our service per se, more so to explore how we are as entrepreneurs and how we get after it post service. But one thing I always like to say is like we have so many remarkable stories. Every time I ask somebody to tell me a story of heroism or somebody that led them or guided them or somebody who died for our nation that they watched in the most miraculous way do the most unthinkable, everybody's like, "Oh, that's so tough." So there's so many, and I get that. But is there a story that stands out to you that maybe most people in the world wouldn't know about that you would want to honor somebody with?
man. You know, so as a new guy, we deployed to Afghanistan, and I was fortunate enough to serve with the best of the best. I mean, my LPO was the shit, and watching him coordinate moves and lead our team, it was like it was like watching like Bill Belichick call plays. I mean, it was so like crisp and like just it's all read and react. I mean, you have your plan, whatever, but a lot of it's read and react. And when you work with guys that are so professional that their read and react seems almost scripted, it's like that was the right call, that was the right play. Like I remember, you know, just watching my LPO. I'm a new guy, and I'm just I'm reading and reacting as well, right? But I'm also like following orders too, and just I mean, there's individual shooter skills for sure, but watching how my LPO was just moving pieces around, and like I remember one op in particular where we choppered in, we got on foot, we pushed into this village, and at one point there was kind of like a snag or like a holdup where guys weren't moving in the direction they should have been, like hold right, clear left kind of thing. And I just saw him just fall right into this like quarterback mode where he was just like boom, 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 and he was like he just kind of gave like a gentle kick in the ass that guys needed to get moving. And when he did that, everybody started flowing and going to where they needed to be, reading and reacting, clearing rooms, backfilling. And it was just like, it, it was just awesome to see all the training that we had done up to this point play out and work and happen so organically and naturally. Like I said, it was we got kind of hung up, and he was just like, here, boom, boom, push there, go there, and then everybody just kind of fell into place and just started flowing through. So I mean, there was nothing like super like heroic, I should say. I mean, I guess that word's kind of you can kind of interpret it different ways. I mean, to me, I thought it was just awesome to see this guy just step up and do his job so professionally, um, that it just was like it inspired me to like want to learn more as a new guy, as a frogman, as an operator. And there's like nothing beats experience, like I mean, you can read all the books, watch all the videos, but experience is the ultimate. It's what sets every it's what sets the vets away from the rookies. It's what sets them apart. And just watching him, you know, do the job was just inspiring. And I mean, it's I definitely miss that aspect of being a team guy. Is just the operating and working with guys that are so professional and just like being on a team. But I'm trying to recreate that, in my civilian life. And yeah, so I don't have anything more juicy for you, but I mean, just watching my LPO go to work was pretty cool.
Hey, but that's the good stuff, man. Like it's I remember the same thing. I watched it was crazy. I watched our medic of all people who like you said, nothing beats experience. You're 100% right. When I got really into jumping, skydiving, base jumping, and that, I was jumping so much, trying to train under direction of my coaches, that ultimately I became way more current than they were. Not all of them, but some of them. And I could take it the way where I'm like, well, I'm way more current and I'm actually flying better right now. And then I can also look at the aspect of they've got 20 years experience on me. So like one thing, and they just every time I go jump with them, they're like bringing me new like pearls of wisdom, and I'm like, gosh, there's just so much to learn. Where you got to drop all that ego and be like, okay, I'm going to consistently be a student for life, because you
Yeah,
cannot
man.
beat experience. You're 100% right. To that tune of building out this program, this team outside and your LPO, it's just I think I know who you're talking about when we talked about him offline. Maybe not, but the medic that I had, he was a medic. He had 3 platoons on me, but he wasn't one of the leaders in the platoon. And I just watched him run the house during assaults in such a calm and collected, precision, just succinct way, where I was like, I want to be you. Because when those people are flowing and they're using their experience and they're showing you that at the highest level, it just makes you want to be better. So I know exactly what you're saying, dude. It's cool stuff.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're like, this is like buds, SQT, ULT, all the shit that like all the training you go through, and then you get to play in the game, like you did all the practice and now you're in the game and you're watching this unfold in real time and watching the seasoned vets do what they know how to do and what they, are experienced in is like, I mean, you got front row seats and you're in the game and you're working with them. It's like, dude, that's like, this is the shit right here.
Oh, there's nothing like going overseas for your first deployment, even being in the rear of the train and be like, I'm on this team. This is the coolest thing in
Yeah,
the
bro.
world. And
I mean, that was like the coolest thing to me was like just suiting up before an op, it's just like I got my kit, I'm just like it's like, you're going to war, dude. It's like you imagine like I would just like imagine how they did it throughout time, just strapping on, like their breastplate and putting their scabbard on their belt and sheathing their sword and grabbing their shield, and then it's like here we are just like putting our plate carriers on our nods, or making sure our guns are all lubed up, we got plenty of ammo, and then it's like like you're getting just jocked up ready to go out the door. It's like and you look around and all these dudes are just hard as fuck, and you're just like, we're gonna go out there and I feel bad for whoever we get into a fight with.
it is such
I love
an unfair advantage for everybody else. And I love
it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I'm super excited to have you on, man. And we're gonna push you out, and we're gonna have you back on when you create everything and you're wanting ready to blast it out. And as much as you want,
Cool,
man. The
man.
show is your show, and if you need anything, we're here for you, dude. Appreciate you.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah,
Hey,
man.
man, I want to thank you for having me on. I appreciate the time. I love your platform, and I love that it's Frogman Friday because I live for a Frogman Friday, and I just love that you're giving guys like me and plenty of other dudes an opportunity to get the wheels moving and just get out there and find a new purpose, a new path, a new adventure, and realize that even if you identify as a frogman, there's still frogman shit to do outside of the teams.
Yeah, there is, man. Well, we're going to keep pushing this for you. Everybody go check out at Shoot, Eat, and Lift on Instagram. You got John Collins, and go give him a follow. Check out his content. It's pretty rad. He has, sorry, Andy Arabito, but you have the sexiest hair in the teams, no doubt.
Well, you know what? When you have to shave and get haircuts every freaking day, and you get out and you're just like, I'm gonna let it flow. And at this point, dude, it's like my strength. Like I can't cut it. I'd be like Samson, dude. I lose all my strength.
See, the problem with me is I've got apparently some Jewish blood, so when I grow this out, it smells like testicles just melting on my chin all day long. So I got to keep it nice and trim. So you're
Get
doing
like
it well.
a Jew-fro going on, dude.
Oh, dude, it's more like Beaker from the Muppets, dude. Just straight up bad.
Right on,
man.
brother. Well, hey, thanks again for having me, man.
Frogman Friday. Long live the brotherhood.